Violet blood pooled beneath shattered plating, freezing against the ash-choked dirt. The secondary heart had already stopped beating, yet cutting through the sterile stench of ozone was the rich, impossible scent of sizzling garlic. Veracast closed her eyes. Death was supposed to be a silent, honorable void. Instead, a massive shadow eclipsed the Tartarus sector's bruised, violet sky. A chipped ceramic bowl lowered slowly into her fractured field of vision. White steam curled rapidly from its blackened rim. "Figured I'd scrape you off the dirt before the scav rats got to you," a voice rasped. "I thought I understood the shape of war, until my enemy offered me a bowl of rice. Listen to what happened next." 72 minutes earlier, consciousness had returned with the brutal snap of a broken surgical needle. A human was leaning directly over her ruined abdomen inside the gutted fuselage of a crashed dropship. He wore faded United Earth Directorate fatigues. The shoulder insignia had been violently ripped away, leaving frayed green threads. His thick hands trembled slightly as he forced a synthetic biomesh patch over her exposed liver. She tried to kill him instantly. Vera's three-fingered hand snapped toward his throat, her obsidian knuckle plates aiming to crush his windpipe. He didn't flinch. The biomesh pulled tight. A localized shockwave of agony tore through her nervous system, collapsing her backward against the corrugated metal bulkhead. "Don't tear the mesh," he muttered, wiping sweat from a scarred scalp. "I only have 2 left." Her mandibles clicked in a rapid, involuntary threat calculus. She was a vanguard shock trooper. 50 grueling campaigns had taught her that humans weaponized absolutely everything. Now, one was casually wiping violet Celtari blood off his knuckles with a grease-stained rag. Silver thermal blankets lined the curved walls of the makeshift sanctuary. Heavy ammunition crates sat stacked in the dimly lit corners. From the dark soil packed inside them sprouted pale green shoots, cultivated plants, on a completely dead moon. He stepped away from a portable induction stove and returned with the chipped bowl. "Eat." She refused to open her mouth. The human sighed heavily, setting the hot ceramic directly on her cracked chest plate. The heat radiated deeply through her cold carapace. "I'm Charlie Hayes," he said, settling his weight onto a rusted artillery crate. "And you need thousands of calories to regenerate that liver." Cautiously, she dipped 2 rigid fingers into the steaming mass. It was a mushroom risotto, heavy with animal fat and incredibly pungent garlic. The flavor hit her tongue like a physical strike. After decades of subsisting on sterile nutrient paste, the culinary richness was absolutely staggering. Humans could engineer plasma cannons to glass entire continents, yet they spent countless hours regulating soil pH just for a single bulb of garlic. The biological contradiction defied all vanguard logic. "Why?" Vera rasped. Her throat sounded like grinding stones. Charlie stared at his steel-toed boots. "Your squad, the Canyon." "Miller and Davis," she said, using the absurd human call signs her unit had adopted to mock their enemies. "They are ash." "I know." He reached into his breast pocket. A dented silver flask emerged. He took exactly 1 calculated sip. "I'm the one who called in the orbital strike." Silence stretched violently across the dropship. Outside the hull, the localized weather pattern of vaporized matter howled through the jagged canyon. He had patched into the United Earth Directorate command net. He saw her squad moving through the trench. He transmitted the exact coordinates to the Archangel dreadnought orbiting above. Then he walked down into the smoking crater and found her still breathing. "You owe an honor debt," Vera stated coldly. "Taking a life demanded a life in return. Celtari martial law was absolute." "I don't care about your laws," Charlie said quietly, rubbing his jaw. I got tired of seeing the ghosts." They existed in a fragile, venomous truce for the next 4 hours. She meticulously observed his macro movements. Barrel-chested, 62 years old perhaps. A prosthetic left eye glowing with a faint, ceaseless red targeting ring. He never buttoned his heavy charcoal greatcoat. Underneath the bone-deep exhaustion, a terrifying mechanical efficiency governed his actions. A low, rhythmic tremor vibrated suddenly through the deck plates. Vera's primary heart spiked in her chest. She knew that specific mechanical cadence. 6 articulated legs, twin rotary cannons, advanced bioscanners. A UED seeker drone had landed directly outside the fuselage. Charlie kicked loose dirt over the portable stove, plunging the cabin into darkness. Lead-lined crawlspace under the deck. Move. It scans for thermal anomalies, she hissed, clutching her sutured abdomen as a wave of nausea hit her. I'll give it a different anomaly. He grabbed a heavy industrial plasma cutter and slipped silently through the torn airlock. Vera dragged her broken body into the narrow compartment beneath the floorboards. Above her head, heavy metallic footfalls crunched methodically through the black ash. The drone was hunting for biological signatures. Blue plasma fire erupted. A mechanical screech tore the thin atmosphere, followed instantly by the sickening thud of tearing human flesh. When the heavy gunfire finally stopped, Vera pushed the warped floorboards aside. Charlie lay crumpled near the entrance. His right thigh was torn completely open by jagged shrapnel. Bright red fluid pulsed onto the metal deck in rapid, rhythmic spurts. Arterial breach. He was bleeding out fast. She dragged herself across the floor toward him. For years, she had studied human anatomy exclusively to kill them efficiently. She knew the exact depth and location of the femoral artery. Applying that lethal knowledge to stop the bleeding felt bizarrely inverted. Her 3-fingered hands, designed entirely to crush bone, fumbled desperately with a torn length of silver thermal blanket. "Pull it tight," he gasped, his skin turning a sickly, translucent gray. She twisted the makeshift tourniquet viciously, locking it in place with a broken hydraulic strut. The terrifying spurting slowed to a dark, manageable seep. She had saved him. The honor debt was now a tangled, completely unrecognizable knot. Charlie let his heavy head fall back against the metal grating. He pulled a grease-stained rag from his pocket and methodically wiped the dirt from a dropped wrench. It was an entirely mundane, practiced gesture for a man who had almost bled to death seconds ago. Behind the rear bulkhead, he breathed, his chest heaving. The hollow. Vera forced the rusted metal doors open with her remaining strength. Concealed securely within a massive natural cavern sat a ship. It was an engineering abomination. The sleek, violet-plated chassis of a Celtari Void fighter had been bolted directly to the blocky, brutalist thruster banks of a UED blockade runner. Duct tape, crude welding scars, and sheer human spite held the hull together. "The automated defense satellites," Charlie coughed, dragging his ruined leg into the cavern. "They're still active up there. They'll shoot down any UED signature." "This vessel requires a Celtari biometric link to fly," she realized, staring at the pilot console. He met her glowing gaze. "I didn't just save you out of guilt, Vanguard. You're my escape key." Fine dust rained steadily from the cavern ceiling. Heavy assault boots slammed against the outer rock formations. A full UED retrieval squad had followed the dead drone's telemetry beacon. "Prime the thrusters," Vera ordered, her mandibles flaring. She hauled a discarded heavy pulse rifle over the rock barricade. Blue plasma bolts immediately scorched the cavern walls around her. She fired back rapidly, her martial precision completely uncompromised by the searing pain radiating from her liver. 2 UED soldiers dropped instantly, their ceramic armor melting into glowing slag. Charlie hauled his bleeding frame into the hybrid cockpit. "Link up now." Vera vaulted into the co-pilot seat. She slammed her obsidian knuckle plates directly into the neural interface node. Chaotic telemetry flooded her mind instantly. The orbital defense grid recognized her blood signature. The dormant Celtari satellites shifted their alignment across the stratosphere. "Target the dreadnought," Charlie shouted over the deafening roar of spooling engines. She blinked in absolute shock. The Celtari orbital cannons were designed strictly to protect the moon, not assault deep space targets. But Charlie had spent 3 days meticulously rewriting the targeting protocols. He had weaponized her survival to turn the automated defenses entirely against his own command structure. Vera forcefully authorized the orbital strike. In the bruised sky far above Asheville, the United Earth Directorate Archangel ruptured violently. Violet fire silently consumed the massive dreadnought in the vacuum of space, turning its titanium spine to rapidly cooling glass. Marshal Vane's entire sector command was gone. The hybrid ship tore out of the cavern, riding a blinding pillar of blue flame straight into the upper atmosphere. Behind the pilot's seat, Charlie's tourniquet suddenly snapped under the crushing G-force, fresh blood pooling rapidly onto the metal grate as the hyperdrive spun up. The distant stars stretched into infinite, glowing white lines as they successfully breached slip space. Vera carefully locked the primary navigation console. She turned slowly to the human engineer. He had managed to press a fresh chemical pressure seal directly against his ruined leg, his chest heaving with exhausted, ragged breaths. His prosthetic eye flickered sporadically in the dim cabin light. "Once I stop bleeding," Charlie rasped, flashing a jagged, incredibly weary grin, "I'm making dinner." Vera closed her eyes. It was not to die with honor, but simply to rest. They were 2 deeply broken soldiers, hurtling through the endless void in a stolen monster, permanently bound by a complex debt that neither could ever fully repay. "Make it extra pungent, Charlie Hayes." She dragged herself slowly toward the rear cargo netting. A salvaged military supply crate sat securely wedged beneath the hull plating. Inside the box, wrapped carefully in a silver thermal blanket, sat the chipped ceramic bowl. Beside it rested 3 dirt-covered bulbs of garlic. The blackened rim of the dish still held the faint, lingering warmth of the portable stove.